Welcome to the 2018 AMATYC Webinar Series. My name is Julie Gunkelman. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for AMATYC. And today we have How to Write a Winning Proposal for the AMATYC Conference with Honey Kirk, Judy Williams, and Darlene Winnington. The American Mathematical Association of Tier Colleges has several core values, and one of them for professional development is building expertise and exhibiting leadership in the teaching and learning of mathematics and enhancing personal growth and improving teaching methods and effectiveness as a personally initiated lifelong responsibility. Obviously, there's more information at AMATYC, but we're here today because of the conference, our big conference every year, and hopefully you're here because you're going to be turning in a proposal to speak at that conference. Please note that the views expressed by the presenter are not necessarily the views of AMATYC. In this case, they are. There's going to be no commercial products mentioned at all during this presentation. We're going to go ahead and turn it right over to Judy, Darlene, and Honey.
Welcome to How to Write a Winning Proposal for AMATYC. I'm Honey Kirk. I'm the Assistant Conference Coordinator. The next slide will show you a little bit about the three of us. There's our titles: Honey, myself, Darlene, and Judy. Judy's currently in Virginia, Darlene's in Delaware, and I'm in Texas. This slide shows our email addresses. You can contact us anytime with any questions or comments.
And we're here today because you want some information about presenting at the next conference, which is in Orlando, Florida, if you hadn't heard that yet. And it will be this November, the 15th through the 18th. And you have information, valuable information, that you can share with your colleagues to help with that professional development and personal growth that Julie was just talking about.
But first, your proposal has to be submitted. And once you submit that proposal, it will need to be reviewed by the program committee. When this webinar is completed, you should be able to write a winning proposal.
The program committee, which is larger than the three of us, regional at-large members, academic committee chairs, our ANET leaders, and the three of us represent the program committee that will be reviewing your proposals. We do it all on the computer, and we begin shortly after February 1st. That is a very firm deadline. You must have your proposal in by February 1st, or on or before February 1st. The program committee, once we receive them all, evaluates the proposal based on the usefulness of your proposal and information that you're going to give us, the practicality, the potential, and engagement of attendees. Since this is in Orlando, we expect a lot of fabulous proposals, and we're looking forward to reading yours.
Yes, and I got to this slide a minute early. Excuse me for that, Honey, for jumping in on you. But the three of us, once all those proposals are in and they have been reviewed by everybody that Honey just listed, the three of us do get together over here on the East Coast, and we've got our meeting scheduled this year for the 9th through the 13th of March, so it's going to take us about a month to 5 weeks to read through everything that you submit. And when we're together, you know, not only do we want the best proposals, but we have to figure out when to schedule them to get a balance of all the different areas that we're interested in: developmental math through calculus, how to teach, what to teach with. We want to have an exciting program where each one of you will just have many, many choices at each hour that you will want to go to and be part of this conference.
So why we're here. How do you create your proposal? Well, we have step-by-step instructions coming up next. My little piece of advice, if I were you, I would definitely look at the website, maybe print out the proposal form, and fill out everything in advance, and then type everything in Word. Lots of reasons to do that, which will be coming up and discussing.
When I used to write proposals to come to the conference, my favorite part of writing the proposal was choosing a title. Sometimes I do it first, sometimes I woke up in the middle of the night and did it, and other times I waited until the very end after I wrote my summary. The title is important though, and here are the requirements. The first thing, it has to be 70 characters, including spaces and punctuation. We would like it to catch the attention, because that's how you're going to get people to choose your session over someone else's. Avoid the first person, and consider using the conference theme. Now, our conference theme is
The main attraction.
the main attraction. If you can fit that into your title, that's terrific, but don't go crazy over that.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Now, here are some examples of titles that, well, quite honestly, we made them up. So we're going to let you choose. Read the first one. My students love me but hate math. Is that a good, a bad, or an ugly title? Everybody have their answer? Well, the problem with that one is the word me. Remember, no first person. Also, watch out for your punctuation and counting of the title, counting of the letters and spaces. That one does fit under the 70. Next one. I have trouble, let's see. I'll read it off of something else because I can't see it all on my screen. I'll let you read it. It's a long one. Good, bad, or ugly? I know what you said. You said ugly, and yes, that it's ugly because it's too long. However, this was a session that was accepted. That's not the title. We took their nice title and just elongated it, but it was a very interesting session that was given from the people who went to Hamburg, Germany in July 2016. Number 3 title. Good, bad, or ugly? Well, the good of it is, speaking of the mouse, we assume that's reference to Mickey Mouse and where we are, but the bad is no capital letters. It also might be a bit too long, and there's a quick way to check that. Darlene's going to show us how to see if something is too long or not. Remember, 70 characters, including letters, spaces, punctuation.
Okay, so I'm just going to bring up my screen and share my screen, and I just have a regular old Word document up here. And a few minutes ago I said if I were you, I would type everything in Word first. First, you get to save it. You don't lose your work, and it spell checks and will count for you. So I'm going to, after I've typed this, I'm going to now highlight my title. And from that highlight, then I'm going to go out to Review on my tab across the top, and there's a thing here that says word count. So when I click on word count, in this case, it is only counting what I have highlighted. It's not counting the whole document, just what I have highlighted. So it gives me the complete statistics, how many words are in my title, the characters without spaces, which you are not interested in, but you are interested in the characters with the spaces. And the maximum, again, we can have is 70. So right now, would this be a good title? Would it be acceptable for a length? Sure, because my characters with spaces is only 36. Now, keep in mind, that's only the highlighted part of words. So I'm going to close this for a second, and I'm going to unhighlight. We also know that your summary, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And it has got a limit, and it's a limit on words. And obviously my summary would not be this entire document. So I will just highlight part of it. And again, I can go up, do my word count, and it'll show me how many words are just in that particular part of the highlighted. And here we go by words. Okay. And we'll take it back to the next example of a title.
Number 4, student success with Connect Math compared to WebAssign. Well, I need to go back to Julie, who said we would not make any references. She's laughing at me. She said we would not make any references. And guess what? We just did. Connect Math, WebAssign, those would not be anything that we could use in a title, in a summary, or in our presentation. We are not allowed to discuss. Give me the words.
Commercial products.
Thank you. We are not allowed to discuss commercial products in titles, summary, or presentations.
But there's no reason you couldn't have a presentation where you talked about giving online assignments, using some technology support. It just needs to be handled so the emphasis is on your work with your students and not how to use a specific product or how well your students did or didn't do with it. We'll be glad to give you more advice on that if any questions happen to come up while you're planning your proposal.
Great.
And then your 50-word summary that's already been alluded to, that is the maximum number of words, and it's the one that's printed in the program when you're choosing your title. Remember that when the mini program is sent out in August, it will have only your title and your name as the presenter and the focus keys, the major topics that you're going to hit in your talk. But the summary won't be there. So whatever your title is, it might be beneficial to you to make sure it does tell people something about what your proposal is doing, because some people I know show up at the conference planning what they're going to do based on what they read in that mini program. But of course, in the summary, you can tell more about what you're doing, take more time to create interests. Again, avoid that I, we, our, my sort of talk, and do things that will encourage people to come. How are they going to be involved? What benefit will this be to them? Now we're going to ask you to do some reviewing, and then Julie's going to lead you in voting whether or not you would accept the proposal that you're going to see on the next couple screens. So here comes number 1.
So take a look at number 1. There you have your title, Strategies for Solving Application Problems. And we're going to give you a couple minutes here to read through the summary. So if you'll read that summary. And Julie's going to lead you in a vote. If you were a reviewer, would you accept this particular proposal?
Okay, so I went ahead and I launched that poll. Will you accept this proposal? You're just going to vote yes or no. Give you a few seconds. Commit, we're not taking names. It's okay. Don't be afraid to vote. Looks like about half of you have voted so far. Give you another 5 seconds. Okay. So the results of your poll, 83% of you said that you would accept the proposal and 17% said no.
Fantastic. When we looked at this particular title, Strategies for Solving Application Problems, first the title was within the character minimum. It does not do any kind of I or me, anything firsthand or first person. Also, what's important is that the title is truly representing what the person is going to be talking about. Sometimes we get proposals where we're going, well, that title doesn't even say anything about really what the proposal is about. So it does capture the essence of the summary, and the summary is good. The summary is good in that it tells them they're going to be able to take home some really good things for helping students solve those application problems. That's what we're seeing. We want hands-on, we want audience participation, and we are here really focusing on the title and the summary, but don't be confused by that, because your proposal has to also include more information. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? So we don't just look at your title and your summary. We look at everything that you've put on that proposal. All of that is very important as well. There are some times when we read that, we find the summary doesn't reflect what you said you're going to do. So make sure all of those are truly what they are and what you meant.
Can I add something, Darlene?
Please.
One of the things that I don't see in this summary or title is what students we're working with. Are we developmental students? Are we higher level students? But that does come under the focus key. Part of the proposal, you'll be selecting what discipline or what area of mathematics this will be under. And so if you chose Dev Math, then we would know that would be developmental. If you chose an upper level, that would give us an idea. Or you might want to put it in the summary if you have enough word space to do so.
That's a great point, honey. And the other thing is, going back to those focus keys, please really look at those focus keys and determine what your best and primary focus would be, and maybe a secondary and sometime a third. We look to see that they really do match what you will be presenting.
And if there's only one or two, that's fine. You don't have to mark all three. The second one, how to flip a math lesson using my web system. Go ahead and read the summary, and then Julie will give you the opportunity to vote.
Okay, you think you're ready to vote? So will you accept this proposal? Again, it's just a yes or a no. So you're voting much faster on this one. Let's see. Almost all of you have voted or committed to an answer already. I'm going to go ahead and end the polling. So we have got that, well, we accept this proposal. I don't know, I thought it was a little bit less than 100%, but we're looking at almost everybody said no.
Right now, that's a little strange mathematically. How can we have 6% and 100%?
Hey, you saw me trip up on that. I was like, wait, that does not add to 100%.
We all know there's a little boo-boo there somewhere, but we're not exactly sure. However, the overwhelming response was no. And I'm sure that you said that because they identified a specific system, my web system. But if we take that off, is this something that is of interest to you? Would you want to attend this session? And flipping the math classes is still, it's not as big a topic as it used to be, but it's still something that we talk about, or at least at our school we do. It's something that we try in different classes with varying success. So if I were reading this, I would think when I took out my web system, this could be a useful one. However, when we're looking at everyone's proposals, the new and greatest things, or when flipping was a big topic, we had so many of them that we could only choose a certain amount of sessions within the topic. So sometimes you write a fabulous proposal and you think, oh my gosh, it wasn't accepted. And sometimes we have so many fabulous proposals on one topic that we have to make a decision. So that's the sad part for some people who do not get a proposal accepted.
Right. May I add something too, honey?
Please.
Well, you picked the idea of hot topics that as the years pass, what everybody was interested in 2 or 3 years ago is not what they're really interested in now, although there's still some interest. And so you may see a whole lot of one topic. We try to keep things balanced, but yet we try to keep up with what is most important and interesting to folks at the time. One other comment, Honey alluded to my web system and a commercial reference. I think we made this one up, although we did have 2 actual products a minute ago. And sometimes you will send a proposal and reference something, and we're just not sure if it is commercial or not. And how do you know it's commercial? Well, it's something that people would be asked to pay money for, something that someone is promoting. So we make good use of Professor Google sometimes to look for some of these things. But if you're using something with a specific name, and you might make a comment in your proposal about how it's available, to whom it's available, that would be really helpful too. And here's our 3rd example. Number 3. So this one, we've got a title that takes up a whole slide. I'll give you another moment to read through here. And then we have to go to another slide to pick up the summary. And when Julie thinks it's time to vote, we'll let her go ahead and put the voting page up.
So I was trying to read it to see when that would be a good time, and I think I'm still reading.
Yes.
Okay, let me find that poll for you guys. Okay, so probably have read enough, I hope. I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll. Will you accept this proposal? About half of you voted pretty quickly there. I hope I didn't give it away with my colored comment there. Some people are just not going to vote. So 100%. Oh, now it says 111%. If I share the results with you, look at this. Something is a little askew. So it said 100 on my screen, and then when I went to share the results with you, it now says 111%. So something is not calculating quite right there. But at least we all are professionals in the discipline, and we know that that's not the case.
Doesn't it bother you, though, when some people say, oh, I agree with that, 111%?
Yes, it does.
Sounds like a good talk to me. But of course, length is the first issue here. Is it referring to something that is a commercial product? We're not sure. And then when you read the summary, I can't find that they're really supporting anything. It's sort of wishy-washy. Do I really want to go and listen to this for an hour? So those are the examples that we've looked at. And then Darlene, I think, has some important information for us. Next.
Yes, as I alluded to earlier, there are other things on that submission form that are very important for the committee to know. First thing, again, is those focus keys. There are 15 different available focus keys, and please just be careful when you start selecting them. If we read it and we find that maybe, hey, this might be teacher prep too, we might add that focus key to your presentation. If we did something like that, that would be in your letter of acceptance. We would certainly let you know that. The next thing on the submittal form, we want to know how this information in the presentation can help or be used by mathematical faculty. Why are they there? Why would somebody want to come see your presentation? Is this something that can be very useful to your attendees? Explain that to us. Also, give us a brief description of your presentation style and how you're going to use your time. Well, we like for it to be interactive. You know, I often think when I go to a conference, I have sat all day long. My poor students do this every single day. So you have to get participants actually participating and not just sitting and getting. So we look at that. What are you going to do? How are you going to plan this time? What actually are you doing in this presentation? We especially look at that if you select a workshop, because a workshop is 2 hours long. Well, wow, you really have to keep people entertained for 2 hours. So we will at that point even say, hey, maybe it should only be a 50-minute session, all depending upon what you have told us about the description of your presentation style. So going on down, a very important thing that you need to pay attention to is the equipment that you need. Well, there are different choices. The first choice is a computer projector with audio interface for your computer amplification. Keep in mind, if you need a microphone for your attendees to hear you speaking, that will automatically be in your room. That's not what a computer plus audio means. Computer plus audio means that you're showing a video, you're showing something on your computer that has sound, and you want the sound from your computer to be heard in the particular room. That's when you would select computer plus audio. You could select computer projector only. That's pretty easy, that's pretty standard. You don't need to have audio or anything like that in your presentation. The next thing is an active internet connection. That is for the presenter only. So I'm going to say that again. That internet connection is for the presenter. Now, in addition to that, you should be telling us how you're going to use the internet in your presentation. The other option is a whiteboard. So you can select at most 2 of these 4 options. Please plan ahead and select those things which you need to have in your presentation. Some people like to just go ahead and say, I'm going to select as much as I can select, and then, hey, when I get there, I may or may not use it. That's one of the things we ask participants and ask our presiders. Was the equipment used? Because it costs a lot of money for AMATYC to provide that equipment to the presenters. And I think now we go to who's next up.
I am.
There is one thing I needed to add. See, I didn't even read my notes. If you have a laptop and you have only a VGA outlet on your laptop and you don't have an HDMI, you will need to bring with you an adapter that adapts from the VGA to the HDMI, because the HDMI connection is what will be supplied on the projectors when you go into the presentation room. And yes, I said your laptop. AMATYC will not provide any laptops. It's your responsibility to bring the laptop should you be selected to present.
And if you are crazy taking notes on that, writing down furiously everything Darlene said, all of that is described clearly in the letter that is sent to you accepting your proposal. Notice I'm being optimistic. We're going to accept your proposal because it's going to be a winning proposal.
That's right. When we do our job today, these should all be winning proposals, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And one other thing on the submission, you do get to choose if you want the session or the workshop that Darlene has alluded to. You also have to decide if you're speaking all by yourself or if there are multiple presenters, a maximum of 4 people. Sometimes folks want to do a panel, which would be a multiple speaker presentation. But please, if it is a panel, when you submit that proposal, you need to list all of your speakers. sometimes we get a submission that says, well, I know I want to talk about this, and it's a really good idea, but I'll round up my talkers, my speakers later. That's not going to work, because when we set this program, we have to avoid scheduling someone in 2 places at the same time. So we have to know who will be with you on your panel, as well as who might possibly be somewhere else in the conference too. Now, honey.
If you've been coming to AMATYC for a while, you know that our conferences are never stagnant. We are always looking for new ways to get people excited about the conference and about mathematics. And this past year in San Diego, we had our first what we call Chat and Chew. Now, the committee fondly referred to it as speed dating, because what we did was we had a room with tables, and we had, was it 24, Judy, or 20?
I think we were at 24.
Okay, that's what I thought too. We had 24 facilitators or discussion leaders who submitted a proposal and came in, and we had the tables numbered. Everything was clearly, the title was clearly written, and the title, excuse me, the number of the session or the number of the discussion, all the tables were numbered, it was listed in the program, and then you came in and sat down at the table that you were interested in. And I, standing up front, had cowbells and rang the bells for you to get started. And then at the end of 15 minutes, I rang the cowbells again. Everybody got up, moved around. It was great fun to watch, and went to a second table that they were interested in the topic or discussion. And then we did that for a third time. So the speed dating, you got to select 3 tables that 3 table discussions that you wanted to join. We held it this past year, since it was on the West Coast, we held it on a Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Now that we're going to be on the East Coast, and we have quite a bit of people who travel and don't want to get up early, so it will be on Friday after they have acclimated to the East Coast time. What it really was a way to generate enthusiasm and engagement through innovation, both in the way that we presented it and the topics that were presented. Everybody was engaged, everybody was enthused, and the committee was very pleased with how it went and with the great comments that we got about it. Anything? So we're doing it again. This will be our 2nd annual Chat and Chew speed dating. Get excited and engaged about mathematics. Anything else you want to add?
Everybody seemed to like it last year. We got wonderful comments in the evaluations. People were lively and moving around. It's a great way, if you're not ready to do a whole proposal, standing up there for 50 minutes, it's a good way to just sit down and meet other people across the country, and you might be interested in a topic you'd like to discuss.
A topic that doesn't have 50 minutes worth, but has 15 minutes and probably time afterwards when you're walking around the hallway. People will stop you and ask you more about it.
And then here comes another idea new for Orlando.
So new for Orlando, as Honey said, we're always trying to make the conference more exciting, draw more people, and most of all, have our attendees have a terrific time and take them a lot of great ideas to then implement into their classrooms. So we started talking about this 50-minute, and we've heard other conferences and things that have smaller sessions and faster. So we came up with the idea that to keep within our blocks of time on our program of 50 minutes, we'll allow 2 different speakers from 2 different areas of the country, or maybe even from the same college or from the same state, speak and only take 25 minutes. We're calling this a mini session. Well, the mini session, you don't even have to worry about who you're going to be paired with. We'll take care of all that. All you need to do is go in with the proposal, make your proposal, say, hey, I'd like to have a 25-minute mini session. So then the committee will take a look at all those mini sessions, and we'll put two people together who will talk for 25 minutes and 25 minutes during the regular 50-minute session. So that'll allow you the opportunity, if you've never presented before, a good way to ease yourself into presenting. It also is, maybe you don't have 50 minutes worth of material to stand up and talk about. Maybe you just want to do a quick teaching tip. Maybe, I know what I would like to hear is, I'm now doing a stats class. I need some good stats project ideas. So just those quick and to the point ideas would be excellent for any of these 25-minute sessions. So we figured that it would ease people in. Maybe they would love to do something they did in class and present it, but they didn't have the 50 minutes. So now you have that option of doing a 25-minute mini session.
So we've shared lots of information with you. Think about ideas that you might have for your proposal, but make sure that you meet that deadline of February 1st and go to the submission site at AMATYC. And at this point, if you have any questions for us, Julie talked about putting them in the questions box. We'll just turn this over to her so she can read the questions that come in, and then we'll do our best to answer. While that's getting started, honey, Darlene, do you have anything more you want to add?
I have a question for you, Judy. I don't remember the answer to this. As one who was always doing this at the last minute, and I mean 10 p.m. at night, I always forgot, is it Eastern time that it closes at midnight on the 1st of February?
That's loosely interpreted. And since most of us don't stay up and wait until midnight to remove a link, probably some will come in a little later than that. It's interesting, there are a few, as you said, you were in Texas working close to midnight. Okay, but it'll say Eastern time, you sent your proposal in at 2 a.m., which is fine. But,
okay.
It basically is, there's a webmaster who's told to remove the link at the end of the day on February 1st, and he takes care of it when he gets up in the morning.
Okay.
So there's a little grace period in there, but I wouldn't just count on too much grace period.
Oh dear. So when I did my first one, I was just told to follow the rules. And I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, there are some things that you guys highlighted to pay attention to, but I'd hate for someone to not get their proposal accepted just because they didn't follow the rules, the deadline, the word count, etc. We do have a couple questions that came in. One of them is specifically about using one of those online commercial products. Can we talk about it if you use it in class, as long as it isn't the focus? For example, they use it for homework. Can they talk about that, why they do it, without actually mentioning the product?
Sure. For example, we at my school, in the course that I'm currently teaching, I use my math lab. I could talk about the use, how I use it for homework, or how I use it for quizzes, but I cannot say that it's my math lab. I just say an online program.
And basically the idea is we're not supposed to talk about the benefits of my math lab or Connect Math or WebAssign or whatever we're using, but what are our students doing? How does it benefit? How could somebody do the same thing using any system that's out there to benefit the students?
Okay, their questions are flying in, so I'm going to try to manage this here. One question was, if we apply for a workshop and you don't think it's a good fit, would you consider it for a 15-minute automatically? And I think that Darlene answered that question already, but I'm not sure.
Yes, so if we read your proposal, and it's not just the three of us, keep in mind, it's an entire committee who reads and gives their feedback to us online, and we comb through all of that feedback. And we think, hey, that's a great topic, and people would be very interested in it, but we don't think that it's enough to draw people for 2 full hours, we'll even come back to you and say, hey, what about a 50-minute session? So yes, we do look at that.
And we know that you're very excited when you ask for a workshop. You just have so much you want to share. You really want that time, which is fine. But through the years, I've been at this for about a decade now with proposals for various reasons. And over that time, number of people committing 2 hours to a workshop has dramatically decreased. So if you have some really great ideas, would you rather share them for 2 hours with 5 to 10 people, or would you rather have 30 or 40 people or more that would stay with you for 50 minutes to hear what you have to say and be involved with you?
We also set aside a room, we call it the impromptu room, that you can sign up for any period that you would like when it's open. And that's really for this sort of situation where you've given an hour, but there's so much more you want. People are standing around with questions and comments. You can say, hey, I'm going to sign up for the impromptu room this afternoon. Let's all meet there. Or you can go right over to it if it's available. We always want the discussions to continue.
So one of the other questions was, could people submit more than one proposal?
Yes, the answer to that question is simply yes. You may submit more than one proposal. Sometimes we get multiple proposals that you may be co-presenting with a colleague, but then another proposal comes in and you are a single presenter, and then another proposal comes in which you are then presenting with 3 other people. So while that you may go ahead and submit additional proposals, if we have a lot of proposals, which we expect to have a lot of proposals for Orlando, and we have limited number of proposals we can accept, we try to push it out so that one person isn't going to be presenting 5 times, even if they're presenting with another team of presenters. So really think about it and present your best proposal. So we know which one you really would like to do. It would be, especially I think last year, it was rare that we had the same person present more than once. Is that correct, Judy? I think maybe 1 person, maybe 2 at the most.
We really tried because we had 50%, 75% more proposals than we had rooms to fill, time slots to fill. So we were trying to give as many people as possible a chance to come, as long as there were good things to share, and there certainly were.
Okay, another question came in about mentioning products. These would be like free online things like Weebly, GeoGebra, Desmos. Maybe you use Google Forms. What about those kinds of products to use in a presentation?
There's no problem with those. We've had several well-received GeoGebra sessions the last few years.
Free is fine.
Yeah, free is fine.
Nice. Free is fine. I like it. What about when you're writing a proposal and you're not sure if it should be a 25-minute or a 50-minute session? Could you write it so that you could say that it worked for either one to allow more flexibility?
There's actually a comment section in the proposal form. So we do read those comments, and if you wanted to, maybe you weren't sure, you can submit it for a 50-word, and maybe in those comments you could say, hey, not sure, but maybe I would certainly be happy with a 25-minute mini session for this topic. We'll certainly look at all those comments. The other things that we get in for those comments are things such as, oh, I want my colleague to be the person who's the presider for my session. Would absolutely love those comments as well. So use that comment box to talk to us and tell us what you'd like to tell us.
Okay. Here's a question. It says, if we have an activity for participants to complete during the workshop, is there some place we can post files for them to download it and bring it to the session. So the way their question, I think it's before the session actually happens, not after.
Well, actually, a few weeks before the conference, Kevin Doctor and our webmaster, George Hurlbut, will start asking for your presentation documents to be emailed to them so they can be uploaded. The only problem is asking people ahead of time to print and bring something. They may not decide until the day of that they want to come to your presentation, so you might not want to rely on that. But they could certainly go online if they have a device with them and access the material if you've made it available to them.
Okay, so the stream has started to stop a little bit. Just want to give a chance if anyone else has thought of something else that they wanted to ask. These three are the ones to ask. They've got the answers for us. Oh, one came in. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to say, I wanted to emphasize what Darlene said. The three of us make the schedule. We don't make the decisions. It's the whole committee that's making the decision of who's going to be accepted. We just do is it going to be Thursday at 4 o'clock or is it going to be Friday at 9 a.m.? We put it together.
Yeah, yeah.
Another option on that submission form is that you get to check off the days when you want to talk and you're able to. So please be sure, if you know that you can't get there till Friday, don't let Thursday be checked, and then you end up with a Thursday slot. It's really hard to change things after the program is set and invitations are sent.
Yep, it's just like that domino effect. And any of you out there who do scheduling like I do for the department, you move one piece and the whole thing falls. So keep that in mind, because once you're there and scheduled, you really need to be there and scheduled where we've got you scheduled.
Mm-hmm. We do have a reminder from the AMATYC office, and it is, I'm so glad that Beverly is listening to us today. She says, reminder, every submission is sent an official receipt by the AMATYC office within 48 hours. If you do not receive a receipt, please email amatyc@amatyc.org to verify. Please, please do this, especially if you are close on the deadline. There's nothing we can do to help you if you wait till June to ask about it. So make sure that you follow through and you get that, that response, that receipt that it happened. I've got another question. It was, does limiting the days that we present lessen the likelihood of a proposal being accepted?
Yes and no. Usually leaving out one day is not going to be a problem. If you only give us one day that you will be there, we'll do our, and the proposal is on the list to be accepted, we'll do our best to fit you in.
You got to remember that on that, when we lay this all out, actually we tape great big posters to the wall in the hotel room, and we color code things because we feel as though it's important for our participants to have a variety of things to go and see. So if yours is, let's just say a stats proposal, and we have so many stats proposals on that day, and that's the only day that you could present, then it gets a little touchy. So keep in mind, we really need to have that shared focus, all those focus keys covered, and make a very balanced program.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. We'll see if anything else comes in. Just be patiently waiting. We will. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Can you tell them how they're going to be able to access this, or how their colleagues can access this?
You know, that was going to be the next thing that came out of my mouth. We're on the same wavelength. So we will post a recording of this webinar. I think we also can share the slides, correct? I think we talked about that. I think you sent them to me already. So we'll have the slides posted on the website. This recording will be shared so you can watch it again if you want to listen to it again. If you're an auditory learner, you want to hear the directions again. Or of course, you can also share it with colleagues, etc. etc. Okay, so someone just gave us a little note that said they're heading to class, and thanks. You're trying to get other thanks in the chat window here as well. Obviously, all good information again. Thank you so much for doing this webinar again. Answer that question. Don't leave yet though, because I do have some like tidying up things to do. Also want to remind you that all the links to submit are on the AMATYC website, www.amatyc.org. You will be kicked to the AMATYC website when I close the Zoom meeting. So if you don't close your browser, you'll automatically get routed right to that website. Let's see, there's something else in the chat window. This is a funny statement. Someone's heading out to play in some snow in North Carolina, which, you know, I'm from Michigan, so we're used to it, but, you know, heading out to play in snow in North Carolina seems kind of humorous to me. Okay, so don't leave. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over. I have got some questions for you guys and wrapping up for the attendees. Thank you certainly for participating in today's webinar. If you'd like to support future AMATYC webinars, please consider becoming a member of AMATYC. You can go to bit.ly join AMATYC. We do have a Facebook page, and we also are on Twitter. Check it out. You also have the regional Facebook pages that you can be a member of and find out what's going on. Recordings of past webinars can be found at bit.ly/AMATYC-webinars. It usually takes about 1 to 2 weeks to upload, but I'm going to put a rush on this one since it's time sensitive and you want to get those proposals in for the conference. Please, please, please take 2 minutes to evaluate the webinar content and the presenter. Actually, it's presenters this time. bit.ly/AMATYC65. In just 1 second, I'll go ahead and put that in the chat window for you as well. Something came in. Oh, there's actually snow in Memphis, which I think is also kind of crazy, definitely. There's something else in the chat. Oh, again, it was just a thank you. I wanted to make sure I was not missing a question. Okay, so somehow I need to be able to shrink this a little bit. I always stumble on this part after I've shared my stuff because I can't get back to my link for that survey, bit.ly/AMATYC65. I'm just going to stop to share for a second because it's the easiest way for me to get there. I'm sorry that I'm struggling. You know what? I think I had my picture over it. I did. Let's see. I'm going to copy that big link and I'll put it in the chat box for you all so you don't have to type it in if you haven't gotten there already. It's a SurveyMonkey. You can go ahead and fill that out. I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Again, if I can find that quickly. Of course not. Oh, there we go. I can stop the recording.